Hello, today is Tuesday, October the 23rd, and the reading for today is John 7. Now, there's a story in John 7 that sort of connects with my last post on assumptions that are made. My last post, I talked about assumptions that were made about the Samaritan woman in John 4. Some very destructive ones about the woman, and these assumptions hide us or block us from seeing Jesus' values and God's will for the world. Now, this particular set of assumptions is about who gets it and who can understand what God is doing and who can't. In the story, the Pharisees and who were spiritual leaders of the day are having an ongoing skirmish theologically with Jesus. And the people of every day start being attracted to Jesus quite a bit. The Pharisees are very upset about that, and in verse 40 through 49, you can see the story specifically about that. In verse 49, the Pharisees say about the normal man in the street, and these people who don't know the law of God are cursed by God anyway. And I interpret it to mean, what the heck do they know? They don't even know God's law right. How could they know who the Messiah is? Now, the Pharisees assumed that they would be the ones to understand what God was doing. But Jesus in chapters 5 and 6 spends a lot of time talking about the fact that he has come to demonstrate who God is, to tell who God is to those of us on earth, because we've got it wrong. We need a better understanding. And the Pharisees are the ones who don't get what God is doing. In the process, they block or attempt to block others from understanding what Jesus is saying and how Jesus is representing God. Now, the assumptions about the Samaritan woman from my last post talk about, for me, they talk about how our mindset blocks us from seeing people as they really are and oftentimes puts people in categories that are wrong. This set of assumptions from this chapter help us understand how at times we believe there are people that just will not get what God is doing. They're too worldly, or they're too disconnected from spiritual things, or they're too, basic, or they're too focused on money, or they're too focused on self gratification, or whatever phraseology we throw in there. But we can tend to assume that they just won't get it. And yet, when we look at the big picture of the New Testament, it was the man on the street and the everyday person who really did get an accurate picture of God from Jesus. They got very excited about it. They got very hopeful about their spiritual future. In fact, they were disciples, some of them, and they became the future leaders of the church. Now, the question that I have to ask myself is, do I get it? Do we who, as believers, say we know who God is? Do we get it? Do we understand who God is seeking and reaching after? And do we share with the same graciousness and acceptance that Jesus does this message of God's seeking us and his grace for us? Because I think it's possible that it is our assumptions that sometimes block us from being active participants in God's mission in the world. And so my prayer is that I will continue to reflect upon and learn and grow in the message and mission of Jesus so that I can get it and I can be part of what Jesus is doing. I want that to be my experience this week, and I hope you do too. Have a great week as you see God in action around you.